Merry Solstice, everyone. Thank you for being with me on this solstice day. Because it is solstice, I would like to do a small ritual with you. And in that ritual, we're going to ground and center. And then we're going to hail the deities, some gods and goddesses. And then we're going to ask them for some energy. We're going to raise some energy. Then we're going to cast that energy. And then we're going to come back to the here and now. We're going to say farewell to the gods. And we're going to come back here. We're going to take a breath. And then we're going to have a little discussion. So if you would so kindly, all of you amazing people out there, take a moment to ground and center. We begin that by breathing. Just relax and let go of the day. Breathe. Shifting away the daily world, letting it go. Okay, now we are going to hail some of the sun gods. Hail to the sun gods, Ra, Lu, Helios, and all sun gods by any other name in any other place. Hail and welcome to this space. We give you our gratitude and we ask you lend us your energy. Hail and welcome to this space. Now take them in, feel them inside you. Feel those sun gods giving you energy and filling those spaces inside your body. Let them be within you, supporting you, giving you warmth. As we now hail the sun goddesses. Hail to the sun goddesses, Sekhmet, Bridget, and any other sun goddess by any other name and in any other place. Hail and welcome. We ask you to lend us your energy for this working. And we give you in return our gratitude. Hail and welcome. Now take them in. Let them combine. Feel that energy of sun, male and female, bouncing, rattling through your body and exciting your skin. Get it all in your core. Breathe it all up into the core of you. Let it energize and synergize you. Grasp it. Breathe it. Now, so we have a hold of that energy. We're going to focus. We're going to move that energy up higher and higher within us. Using our breath to draw it up and up. It's all exciting and crusting, and we're going to cast it. Release that energy as we cast it out and around in the room where we are, the building that we are in, and to all the people contained within the space we can reach. We're going to engulf them with that joy, with that warmth, with that sun energy, that they may too have joy and peace this day. So mote it be. I'm going to breathe it up. And breathe some of that energy back out. Now we're going to say farewell. Farewell to the gods and goddesses, Ra, Sol, Helio, Bridget, and Sekhmet. We thank you for lending us your energy. We thank you for giving us the opportunity to use that energy for others this solstice day. You have our gratitude. Stay if you will, go if you must. Many blessings and farewell. Breathe it in and out. Take a moment. Make a little shift. Greetings. I am Cat Gina Cole. Thank you all for being here. I wanted to share a little solstice ritual with you for a number of reasons, mostly because I'm very honored that you would take time from your solstice day to be with me. Little bit about me. I am a family-trained hedge witch. I am an ordained pagan minister. I am a high priestess and author. Llewellyn has been amazing to me. I'm very grateful to them as well this day. So this right here is actually another recording because yesterday we had technical difficulties. And I know that there were quite a few of you that got to hear the original audio recording. And I'm so excited that y'all stayed with me. That was a lot of fun. So today what I'm going to do here is try to recreate that and match that audio the best that I can. So you may see me looking at my notes every now and then to ensure the continuity of the content for you guys. So here we go. We are here today to talk about how psychic skills enhance magic and witchcraft. So as you may have experienced in this little ritual that we just did, there were a number of elements in there where we actually use psychic skills. And the first one of those was letting go. Now, letting go is a mundane thing we're all familiar with pretty much. And we pick our battles and we, know to let go. And like when you're having a scuff with somebody and you're like, okay, dude, peace, and you move on. And then that's kind of the mundane way of letting go, and there's other ways mundanely that we let go, like in work, when you keep coming up against some obstacle, it's like, okay, I can't get this. I'm going to come back to this later. That is letting go. Well, the grounding and centering of this little ritual here, that is a form of letting go. And it allowed us to push aside the mundane world for the moment. So we were letting go of ourselves in this instance of letting go. We were letting go of our stress, actually, and our day and our world, the mundane. But there's another form of letting go that we also did when we were calling the deities. In that letting go is spiritual letting go. The difference between the two is that in spiritual letting go, when we were calling the deities, we had no thought to this world, to this day, this time, this place. And we were fully focused on feeling the energy of the deities and working with the deities and the work that was at hand. We had completely let go of us, our personality, our personas and egos, all that we are for those moments. That is spiritual letting go. And as you can see in that little ritual, it enhanced the work of magic and witchcraft. It is a psychic skill because it uses will, focus, and choice. And the psychic skills are the tools that we use in magic and witchcraft. They are the mechanized item that we use to create the witchcraft and magic. The sending off of the energy through channeling, which is the psychic part. We channeled that energy and we sent it off. So we did the psychic skill first, and when we sent it off to other people, that was the magic. That was the witchcraft. So you see how they work together, and you can see how one enhances the other. And here we go with the notes. So that's the difference between regular letting go and spiritual letting go. And I want you to try to remember what I said about psychic skills are about will, focus, and choice. They are the tools that we use. And when we understand them as a tool, instead of them being something very, very vague, it really lends so much more energy and effect to the work that we're doing. For example, in that little ritual that we did, if you had not really engaged or felt or drawn and then channeled back out, it would have felt much more mechanical. And that too is another way that demonstrates how psychic skills can enhance magic and witchcraft. And I think that for myself, the way that I use it the most, I do a lot of weather work, and I'm very close to the elements and the natural forces of the earth, their natural energies and vibrations. And psychic skills are a lot about moving that energy and channeling that energy. It's not just feeling it, it's about doing something with it. And for me, my best demonstration of how psychic skills enhance magic and witchcraft is in going outside, and I can like hug a tree, touch a tree. And if I open up my senses, I can feel that tree, and maybe that tree will even speak to me with my clairvoyance. I can maybe even see some images or clairaudience if I had that, and hear what that tree is telling me. I need water. Let's just use that as an example because it's the easiest. Okay. Now, because I practice the way I do, and when I want to work with air, for example, I envision, so to speak, the atmosphere. Because to me, the atmosphere has kind of this line, around the earth. We've seen that kind of visual in science class and different things. That gives me some kind of a tangible way of connecting to air, because you can't see air. You think of clouds and wind, but you can't see air. So now here I am. I'm outside. I've got my hand on this tree, and it says it's thirsty. And so now I can use the psychic skills of drawing energy and draw the energy from the earth. Draw the energy from the atmosphere. Get all that going inside me like we did for the other ritual. And then I can speak to air and say, do you hear this? I'll channel what the tree is requesting up to the atmosphere and be a conduit. Whereas the tree by itself may not be able to communicate to air quite as effectively as my added assistance might provide. Conversely, if I, just a human, ask for rain because I think we need rain, when I'm not connected to that tree per se, it doesn't have as much punch like I was talking about. And when I'm connected to that tree, and then I'm connected to the air, and I'm being that conduit, there's so much more. And it becomes a psychic, almost biophysical experience. Because anything that goes on in your mind, your body will also respond to. And sometimes that is what people are feeling when they feel uncomfortable with magic and witchcraft. And they feel that energy going through their body is kind of a biophysical response. It means you're doing it right, by the way. And so in that way, psychic skills enhance what we're doing. And we can use our clairvoyance and clairaudience and all of those things in the events that we have, either spontaneous events, rituals, dream work, whatever it is. And then to kind of get to that place where you can do that, the very first skill I talk about in my new book, it's my first book, there might be more, I don't know yet, is the pause, sense, and scan. Now, the pause, sense, and scan, why they are first, is because that's the very first thing that we do. And it was so difficult for me to write down all this stuff that I do, like breathing, and I just knew that there were other people out there like me that could do this, but wanted to know more, wanted to unlock more. And I felt that the way to unlock more was to examine what was already there and define it and learn more about each thing. So that's why I went through the pain of labeling it all. Not a person that lives by labels typically. And when it all boiled down, going backwards, was pause, sense, and scan is where it all starts. Now, I know there's a lot of advanced practitioners out here, as well as beginners and people in between. Welcome to you all. The pause, sense, and scan. So pause is pretty much the way it sounds. You pause, you stop, you think, And as one gal put it in the other recording, that's that time that you can hear without your ears, you can see without your eyes. And that is exactly what you're doing in that pause. That's what makes it different than, say, a mundane, stop and take a breath. And that's what most of us do with pause. But when we turn it magical and we see without our eyes and we hear without our ears, that is the pause that we need. It gives us information about the stimuli that we are currently receiving. And that's what we need. The next step is sensing. So as we now recognize the stimuli and what it is, we can see how we feel about it. That's sensing. Sense. What's that feel like? What is that telling me? What information am I getting from it? And then from sensing, we go on to scanning. That's the more active part. Whereas sensing is still a little bit more observing. Pause is kind of discovering. Sense is more observing. And scanning is a little bit more active in that you wait, what is that? Where did it come from? and you're actively seeking, hey, what's the source? What is the source? And so you may find that this stimuli is coming from that person over there. Or you may find, oh, that is me. I am irritated for whatever reason, or anxious, whatever it might be. But to know the difference between you and not you is vital for psychics, because then it gives us the information to take appropriate action for whatever it is that we're having. Are we having a spontaneous psychic event? Okay, well, this is how we deal with that. Are we having an emotional day? Well, this is how we deal with that, right? So pause, sense, and scan gives us everything, because then from pause, sense, and scan, we can we can tap our intuition, see how we feel about that. We can use our perception and reason to figure it out, and our awareness to apply whatever skills and knowledge that we have from there. The pause, sense, and scan, oh my gosh, I mean, they're vast, actually. They have helped me a lot with my social anxiety. You would not know that I have fear of public speaking anymore because of the pause, sense, and scan. Used to be, I was kind of at that place where I was almost tearful, stuttering. I couldn't do this. My husband was amazed at the transformation. So here we are after pause, sense, and scan, talking to you. And pause, sense, and scan is very, very vital for empaths and sensitive people, for example. And I write about this extensively in my book. And there's a lot of skills and coping skills that go with that are in the book. But pause, sense, and scan for an empath, you get this overload very often. And you have to be able to sort out that overload, because if you don't sort out that overload, that's what leads to anxiety, and fear and flight or fight and many other things, or shutting down even. And when empaths don't know that that's what is happening to them, they can feel broken, for lack of a better word, or feel like a freak, or like they need medication, and so on. And some of us do, and some of us don't. That's very valid. But the pause, sense, and scan can reground us, can reroute us, so that we can apply reason and intellect and perspective, and ask ourselves things like, is it reasonable for me to be feeling this way? Do I typically feel this way in this situation? No, I don't. So, reasonably, it must mean it's coming from somewhere else. We pause, sense, and scan. We figure out what that is. And then as soon as we pause, sense, and scan and figure out what that is, then we can let go. Again, back to letting go. And we let that go, put it aside, come back to it later if we need to. And pause, sense, and scan is important for those of us who have precog, clairvoyance, and the knowing, what my grandmother called the knowing, which you just know. Because you need to sort it out. So again, yes, pause, sense, and scan come first. Many of us do it without even thinking, and it's just automatic. Some of us need to know that, hey, that's there. We need to draw it out, and so that's why it was first in the book. And for those of us who have larger skills than just intuition, for example, there's this like blessing and curse kind of thing. You're like, why was I given these skills if nobody wants to listen to them? Well, it took me a while to figure that out, and pause, sense, and scan helped me do that. And it's like, it's actually not just that we know the truth about what's going to happen when they do XYZ, but to prevent them from doing it so they don't suffer is what most of us think. But it's actually precog for us. So we know, this is going to happen. They're going to come back to us later when it does happen. And so it's a heads up, a precognition heads up to us going, be ready for the healing and the fallout later. You're going to need to be there and be ready for that person when this does happen. And that really helped me with a lot of the frustration of, gosh, like people ask you for things, and then they dismiss it for whatever reason. And then they come back a month later and go, why didn't you tell me? So knowing that it's a precog kind of thing that is coming for you, not just necessarily to tell them the truth, is very, very helpful in that, and makes it easier to live with. And it's a way for us to be of service. And I think that's the real job of psychics. So in the original recording, there were a couple of folks that asked some really good questions. And Rihanna asked, or was the one who stated that in pause that she can hear without her ears. And that is just so spot on. So thank you for that. And Timothy asked, how do you know if it's a thought, a feeling, or a feeling that is psychic? So how I usually handle that is through journaling, dream work, meditation, and knowing myself really, really well. And again, that goes back to those questions. Is this me? Is it reasonable that I would feel this way? One example was during the onset of COVID, driving by a Walmart, and I got panicked, and I didn't need to. It wasn't really me. And this story is in the book too. So if you know it's you, it's not you, it's much easier to deal with. And journaling is an excellent way to do that. It's tangible, meditation as well. And if it's not you, it's likely psychic stimuli. Banshee asks, some people use the skills unconsciously or not aware. Absolutely. And again, that's why I wrote the book, because that is a fact. And it being unconscious sometimes can make it very, very vague and confusing for people. And we don't learn as much as we could about their effect on us and how to handle them. And then Maggie asked, how do you prevent malevolent forces from coming through? Excellent question. But here's my thing on protection. You can put up a protection before you do a psychic anything or magical witchcraft anything. Absolutely. However, that is not going to protect you from everything. And the trick is being able and willing to bring any form of protection that you know into the event with you in the moment. That's how you protect yourself psychically, in the moment as things are happening. Not enough people know that you can do that. Some of us do it again unconsciously, without thought. It's just done. That's practice. Others who are starting out need to know you can do that. Just like you can say no and set boundaries, and say, not right now. And that's another thing a lot of people don't understand sometimes when they're beginning the journey, is that they can set boundaries with the spirits and help themselves be alleviated from a big onslaught of spontaneous events. Because when you first become psychic, a lot of that happens. So there's a lot of spontaneous events. But that, again, to determine if they're malevolent or not, the pause, sense, and scan right there in the moment. I stop, and that's my go-to. Pause, sense, and scan. What are you? What do you feel like? All that. That's my pause, sense, and scan right there. And then you can reject that. Like I said, setting a boundary. It's like, no, you're not allowed. That's your moment. You're setting your boundary and your protection. You're not allowed. So right now we're out of time, but I want to say that in the back of my book, the last few chapters really are vital, in that they have a lot of coping skills and a lot of discussion about what it's like to live as a psychic every day in the real world. I invite you to check out my website, catginacole.com. I have classes there that are available, and even some work exchange, work study slots. I have a blog, a weekly article, or a weekly column, all my other articles, and my other podcasts and videos that I've done. And I just want to say this has been an absolute pleasure. And thank you, Llewellyn, for all your love and support. Many blessings to all.